Let's talk about septum ring theory. For the record, I created the term. Like most ideas that don't do the community any good, they started here, in academia. Or as I like to call it, wackademia. There's a strain of the humanities and in certain threads of feminism that label all males, regardless of their socioeconomic status, as predators or potential predators or patriarchs. These theories mostly stayed in the academic sphere until the 1980s, when certain materials and certain books and movies began to move these ideas out into the wider world. Even then, they didn't gain a lot of credence because only certain people saw that material. What changed the game was this. The rise of social media, and this app in particular, created a perfect storm of celebrity obsession, stan behavior, anonymous fan art, so academia could easily fall into those spaces and begin to proliferate because you could say these things anonymously without any backlash. With the decline of that app, a lot of people who believed in these things began to migrate to different platforms, especially this one in particular. The danger here was those crack brain ideas were beginning to mix in with real ideas that tied into like actual social justice work. And the problem now is to try to extricate those ideas from real work and real credible theories. These hateful septum ring theories are so intertwined with theories that may be beneficial to the collective that it's almost impossible to separate them. But you can be sure that whenever you hear a crack brain theory, it's usually being said by somebody with a septum ring. You think I'm exaggerating? Take a look. Septum ring. Septum ring.
Pro-black, black men are...
Septum ring. Are you getting the idea? So to sum up, septum ring theory is really just anti-black misandry glossed over with some 7-syllable words that make people sound good. And because the majority of people who sell this gibberish are melanated, it gives them cover. So they're not considered anti-black, and they can cover themselves with a veneer of pro-blackness.
Tick faster. That'll be the hour they knock the slick blaster. Dick dastardly, a Muttley with sick laughter. A gunfight and they come to cut the mix master ice. And living the true gods. Giving y'all nothing but the lick like two broads. Got more lyrics than the church got ooh lords. And they hold the mic at your attention like two swords. Or you the one with two blades on it. Hey you, don't touch the mic like it's AIDS on it.
All right, welcome once again to the Beatzillapdx official show. And this, of course, is the weekly wrap up. And we are here live and direct from the kitchen because this evening we are cooking. And what do we have to cook this evening? Well, as we are looking at the title, we are celebrating Shill-A-Palloser, a festival of future broken tools. And that is what we are talking about this evening. So as you are coming in, please hit the like and share. Please like and share. The like button would be the thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up, mash that thumbs up button if you could. Also, share this on your social media so we can bring attention to this channel. And then, of course, if you have not already subscribed, you should subscribe now. You should do so right now. Hit the notification bell, hit the word all. That way you'll be notified anytime this channel goes live or a video is uploaded. And as you would normally know, these would normally typically be live, but today we are doing a recorded like the midweek report was. We are doing a recording of the weekly wrap up. So making sure that you guys do not miss out on this good talk that we have here every week. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start doing, there'll probably be a lot more premiered uploaded videos coming here in the future, but I will still be doing lives. So, but I will make sure to announce those lives, and those will most likely be, most likely might end up being Wednesday. So the lives might be the midweek report, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. But I hope you guys are enjoying the content that you are getting here in this little corner of the new black media, which is the Beatzillapdx official show. And of course, I am your host, Beatzillapdx official. And, shout out to everyone that is coming in and is here now. As you guys are coming in, again, like I said, hit the mash up that like button. And have you guys noticed some of the things that have been taking place lately? We talked Wednesday about some we went back to Jackson. We had to talk about the Jacksonville racial massacre that happened there. And then we also talked about the March on Washington. Well, we're going to recap on that March on Washington because they actually do have footage. And I was wondering, where is this footage? They haven't made it widely publicized. And the channel that I found it on YouTube really only has 25,000 views. So maybe this wasn't what they were expecting it to be. One can only speculate. But like I said, we had to do this one in the kitchen, family. So as you see, shout out to our brother Terrain Walker. Shout out to our brother, another good brother out here in these new black media streets. And he actually sent me that video earlier. So I appreciate that, brother, and making sure that people see that, because he's came up And he came up with the septum ring theory. And as y'all see, he's proven himself to be correct. And we're also going to touch on, Bunny Ruckuses. Because the Bunny Ruckus and the septum ring crew are pretty much hand in hand. And then, of course, there are the other agents. The other agents that say, well, these people like us, so we just going to go with it. At the end of the day, I think one thing that the whole Jacksonville response should have shown everybody is that these people refuse to call out people like Ron DeSantis by name. They refuse to call out Vivek Ramaswamy, whatever his name is, by name. They're refusing to call these people out. If this was Donald Trump, you would hear nonstop Donald Trump. We're talking about Donald Trump incited January 6th. They tried to literally get him on that. How on earth do we not go after Ron DeSantis and the Viveks of the world for doing the same while literally being the governor in power saying this is where woke comes to die? How do we get around that? Well, they're getting help. And here's one thing that the shills aren't understanding. You're watching your Democratic Party give these anti-black racists a pass. Mainstream media giving them a pass. The so-called liberal media. Nobody is blaming DeSantis for this. Notice how that's happening. One could say that maybe perhaps things have came down from the Democrats and instructions were given to, kind of go light on the situation. Don't go too heavy here. Let's not be too heavy-handed on calling out white supremacy. So like Hakeem Jeffries and all of these other Democrats. Matter of fact, let me show you something that got some traction and some attention on my timeline. Let me get that out of here. Put this in here. That's what did. Let me show you what the Democrats' response. And this is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, by the way. This is their response to Jacksonville. Just to put that in perspective, the Biden-Harris plan to keep communities safe, ban assault weapons, require safe storage of firearms, require background checks for all gun sales, and last, eliminate gun manufacturers' immunity from liability. Now, why on earth would anybody do that when you guys went out of your way in your stint as Vice President Joe Biden, went out of your way to give police immunity? And then under your watch, you went out of your way to give Big Pharma immunity. So why now would you go after gun manufacturers for liability? How does that make sense? So you're watching things. Here's another thing. The whole Hunter Biden email scandal that has been covered up. As you black Democratic voters well know, if this was Donald Trump in emails and you have his son or his son-in-law in talks with Ukrainian officials on a consistent basis, Ukrainian elites on a consistent basis, who is literally paying for political influence in America from the Bidens. And now, how much money are we sending Ukraine? Now, you'll have these black bisexuals tell you that that means nothing, which I will say it does. That doesn't mean that, oh, well, what we going to do? Vote Republican? No, we are looking out for our best interests alone. However the playing field shakes out, that's where we are. And so who is doing business for foundational Black Americans to get this black vote? Because you see your voter base walking out the door. And the antics that are being displayed right now are showing you and showing the world that you are pretty much just throwing in the towel and saying, we're going to die on this hill of absolute absurdity and confusion. Like what happened at this press conference. These people are literally calling out DeSantis, which is the right thing to do. But this, you already seen this Jacoby ma'am or whatever her name is. But let's just look at her and hear her in her mammy splendor.
Well, thank you for doing this. I want to just say to the councilwoman, I got you. Don't worry about it. We've already been looking to identify funds to be able to help, one, make sure there's adequate security for Edward Waters College. We are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people.
Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside. Cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party. So don't get me started. Okay, Jacoby is nice, but Ann is not. Now, if the governor wanted to come here and he bringing gifts to my community, y'all know I'm taking the gifts because we've been through enough already, and I don't want to go through no more. Now, y'all just be quiet just a minute and let the governor say what he gonna say, and we gonna get this party started. You hear me? Okay, let's do it.
Absolutely shameful, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely shameful. We gonna get this party started after that. You feel me? What party at a prayer vigil for individuals who have been slain because of anti-Black violence? How did we get to that conversation? Well, it's beyond me. And again, these are the people that they are wanting us to look to as inspiration for carrying out the agenda of them. I'm just happy with some gifts. I was just being happy. Y'all shut up now. Bothering this man. This good white man done came over here to give us some gifts. And you know, if he's passing out butter biscuits, I's gonna get me some. Now, some of y'all may say, oh, well, that's being a little harsh. Oh, no. There is something to this. Let's get a big Black woman to get up here and talk stern to Black folk. Maybe she'll even have a septum ring or blonde hair.
I'm not asking what's in the infusion. I'm not looking up all of the ingredients in the infusion. I am sticking out my arm and I am taking the infusion.
And I'm telling you, as a psychologist, I'm not going to be able to psychologize all of them on the corner. Some of them going to sleep for good. And I'm
Woo, and them on that Democratic plantation as well. And if that wasn't enough, let's not stop there because, oh, you picking on the women. No, I'm picking on Democratic shills and flunkies and people who are here to undermine the benefits and progress of their own community. Like this
institutions
dude
are
here.
going to say you can't come in here unless you have the vaccine. Some jobs are going to say you can't get a job here unless you are safe and you don't put the rest of the people that work here in jeopardy unless you had the vaccine. If you want freedom and if you want social justice, take the vaccine.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. See, if you want that, then what you need to do is you just need to go ahead and do what they want you to do. Stick out your arm and take it. And now it's shut up and don't be asking for nothing and get out there and vote for Joe Biden. Oh, you hating black feminism. And black feminism is an extension of white feminism, which is a counterpart and ally with white supremacy. Now, remember, I've always told y'all that they're going to look for the line that starts to say our agenda is in line with white supremacy. None of them can ever prove it. They all go with this real vague, well, you know, white supremacy is like that. No, it's not. And this is the point that, you know, if you do not understand white supremacy, then everything else will just confuse you. And it's really simple. If you don't understand it, everything else will confuse you. And so you see a lot of confused individuals out here. And then they'll play dumb because they know that they know the truth. So they have to play dumb and start talking around facts and making up things like there's no Asian hate crime bill. Well, no, it applies to everybody. Remember when Roland Martin actually tried that? That's already been debunked. But listen, and it already happened in my Twitter, that line is going to start resurfacing. That lie, rather, not line, but that lie is going to resurface. As well, it's going to be coupled with, oh, well, man, all y'all trying to do is help the Republicans. Cornel West is not a Republican. Cornel West is an independent, showing you that black people could be something else other than Democrat or Republican. And that's why y'all want to keep trying to avoid. You want him to quit as fast as possible. I hope he sees this through, to be quite honest. Because it's needed. He's needed. If you want to do something for black people, do something for black people. Don't snub a black man for this old shaking hands with the air white man and tell us that that's the best option because they told you so. No, we're not in that time anymore. We need something tangible and somebody that is speaking our type of talk. Black community is speaking. There's a bunch of tethers and immigrants that have their own things to say, which they try to pass them off as our agenda, but they're not. We're not about guns and all this gun control crap. Please, you got enough things in place that should have already prevented all of these mass shooters from getting guns, but you didn't enforce the law because of the color of their skin. So we don't have to really get into, well, what can they, there's so many things they could do. Shout out to Brother Phil Scott. He laid it down excellently, how they can simply move some of these guns into a different category. And there you have it. So this is all a farce, ladies and gentlemen. There is no, the gun ban is really about disarmament. Because if you're going, and you could easily, as a president, change the designation of certain guns to put them in that category, which would make them harder to obtain. There's more close scrutiny involved with that level of weapon. President doesn't need Congress for that. You don't have to start looking at playing with the Constitution. That's why I knew, and I said years ago, that this whole gun political thing is just a political football to get nothing done while ignoring our issues. So anything that happens in the Black community can start getting smoke screened by gun talk. It's all about guns. It's all about no. Anti-Black violence comes from anti-Black racism. We need a no anti-Black racism hate crime bill. That's what we need. No, we don't. We need you to be pushing the line like we have pushed. No anti-Black racism. But we are not hearing that coming out of the Congressional Black Caucus, out of people like Hakeem Jeffries, who you want Black people to vote for the Democrats for so he can become House Speaker. House Speaker for what? He won't even speak to Black mass deletion on a racial anti-Black motive murder as what just taken place in Jacksonville, Florida. Instead, he pivots. He mentioned anti-Semitic, which has nothing to do with these Black folks or this man's manifesto, which told you what he wanted to do. This has nothing to do with anything else. But we keep going away from this is an anti-Black violence issue. And I want to say that that's happening because, hey, well, man, if Donald Trump get in the office, it'll be so much worse. We ain't seeing no law, but we see LGBTQ protections. They'll come out and call out people for it. They'll sanction a state to make sure that little boys can go in the bathrooms with little girls, just as long as they identify with a girl. That has importance. But all this blood on the floor, all this blood on the ground, all of this blood in the supermarket, none of that rates to Joe Biden. And you want Black folks to buy into Joe Biden's act again? How? How? Let's talk past this blood here. Oh, but it's guns. See, that's where you are in a world of trouble. You have to talk about Black now. Anything less is just going to get your door closed and your vote lost completely from the Black community. You could get Black folks pulling out, but where could that go? It could make the playing field completely unsteady from here on out. I guess that's ordered by confusion now, isn't it? Speaking of confusion, when I was on Black Alpha's broadcast last week or a week before last, we went over this video. I believe Red Joker put this together. And it is, if y'all remember the Nigerian woman who, my rent is paid. My rent is paid. Those the Nigerian tether that was going after Jess Hilarious for standing up for Black women. And so she thought, or she was sent out there to bark her down. Well, she also talked to another suspect, Grenadian offspring, Amanda Seals. And they had their little coonstress powwow. And this was very interesting. Check this out.
People that feel that, well, it doesn't matter because Democrats and Republicans are the same,
which is also unintellectual.
Thank you. I'm going to speak on that.
Anti-Black racists are anti-Black racists. So when you say there's no difference, that's what?
Also unintellectual.
Okay, so instead instead of addressing a point, it immediately goes to insulting the intelligence. This is like the Marxist playbook that they're taught at Shill camp. If you notice, every last one of them does this. The very first response to a solid point isn't, well, my viewpoint is this. Here's the reasons. First thing she says, oh, it's unintellectual. Now look at her posture. So this is somebody who has an agenda to come, well, I'm here to just basically talk down black folk. Of course, that means black men. Because black women, along with the black men over here in the grassroots, have been speaking the same thing. Now, look at what she's trying to, just look at the optics. You got this old Nigerian chick over here trying to look like a Dahomey princess. And Amanda Seals got her afro out like she's Angela Davis. Don't miss the optics, or attempted optics, rather.
Thank you. Amanda, speak on that.
Well, I think there's something to be said for the fact that there's a difference between similarities and the same.
Yes.
And I
There's differences of similarities and the same. Do you want to think she's going to elaborate on how to identify the difference? Let's see.
I know that may seem very nuanced, but it's an important nuance. Because anytime people are in the same place, they will share similarities. Me and you share similarities. We are not the same.
Yes.
And it is a what's the word I'm looking for?
Disingenuous.
It's disingenuous, and it's disingenuous and simply just erroneous to suggest that we're the same, because we're just not. Like, on the surface, deep, it's just not. So when we look at Democrats and Republicans, first of all, it is a straw man argument to talk about the past when the present is happening so loudly and in such a prevalent way.
If the past dictates the present, how do you fix the present and the future without first connecting the past to the present? This is grade A Shill trained BS. And the flim-flam and I keep telling y'all, she's getting ready for the next act, because Amanda Seals is over 40 and the clock is finished. The ship has left the dock. There's no one coming around to walk her down the aisle, so she's got to live this one out. Whatever it looks like, and maybe a white man will come call her. Because boy, oh boy, oh boy, look at her house. Oh, that pink. And she might be using a virtual background, who knows? But I just can't help but notice the decor back there, and then she's all in the pink. It's all one color. Ain't no man living there. Don't no man reside there. Just saying.
So you can tell me all day long about Joe Biden and the 94 crime bill, and I get it. I fucking get it. But it's 2023. Okay? And in 2023, I don't feel Joe Biden is showing up in 2023 the same way he was in 1994. But
you say that based on what? This is Joe Biden.
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics. who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
Yeah, definitely sounds different, huh? Boy, he really sounds different, huh? Ooh-wee.
You know who is? An entire party. Okay? So there's that. I think there's also something to just really address in that you have one party that has a shared platform of oppression, and this is on a local and federal level, and it is being carried out through action, and it is being displayed through actual examples of gaslighting and lying, just all the time. Like, there's no shame in it. These people specifically asked for a specific special counsel to be assigned to Hunter Biden. They got what they asked for and then started a campaign of this person is corrupt. I can't even.
The hell is she talking about? And Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden? How did she get there? This is about one party not looking like the other party. Then, well, there's one party that's just solely about oppression. Huh? No, there's see, here's the thing. Notice they're trying to do what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to disassociate white privilege and white supremacy from the Democratic Party. They're also trying to majorly disassociate the Democratic Party from anti-blackness while they're showing nothing of the sort. But let's just remember, anti-blackness comes out of black mouths and also imposter black mouths too, just like this.
I'm not always going to only talk about what we can do for black people. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Wrap my mind around, I don't even know what the goal is with that, right? Because I'm like, is it just that you got what you wanted? So now, so the effort to undermine is insidious. When it comes to the Democratic Party, though, as a party, they don't share that same goal.
That literally made no sense. And yes, they do share the same goal, white supremacy, and making sure that black folks are on the bottom. They seem to be sharing that sentiment very toughly, and making sure that black folks don't have any protection against the violence carried out against us. That is something that is very clear. They fight against it day and night. And then at the same time, we have folks over here talking about, well, we commemorating 60 years of the March on Washington. Yeah, that may be true. But before we get to, well, I just want to, let me do it this way. We're going to do it this way. So let me show you how they first were pandering. So this is the pander to the black vote in the black community. Check this out.
Leaders for a simple reason. To thank them and to tell them what they tell us. We know we got a lot more work to do. And as I've said to the country, we can't let hate prevail. And it's on the rise. It's not diminishing. Sometimes silence is complicity. And we're not going to remain silent.
There is an antidote to this, I'm sure of it. It will be rooted in our courage, like those who 60 years ago marched and stood. There is an opportunity in front of us to embark on the next era of who we are as a country in the midst of these full-on and intentional attacks.
How do we create a culture of non-violence? How do we create a culture of love? How do we create a culture of inclusion?
Whoa. I mean, mom and dad, here we go. First off, let's just be clear. The commitment to nonviolence was not a die on the hill thing. It was a purposeful strategy for the moment and for the time. Notice how they keep going back to saying that was the entire focus of the movement. It was not. Neither was inclusion even in a conversation. This inclusion thing that they keep doing all of a sudden with civil rights, there was no such thing. And the only reason why there was any inclusion there was because white women wanted to make sure that black women didn't get any rights they didn't get first. And that's something that all these little black feminists always tend to forget or overlook or ignore. But that's a fact. So that whole patriarchy crap that y'all keep spewing doesn't come from nowhere near your community. None. It literally comes as way of a mechanism to make sure the white family stayed on top. And if you're too brain dead to catch that one, well then please make sure you stay out of the streets and stay in the books, because that's about all you got going for yourself. Because you are super game goofy if you can't see what that is.
Dad and mom, we're talking about dignity and respect of every person, no matter who they were. I remember one of Dad's quotes was, we can be like thermometers or thermostats. And what he said is, you know, thermometer is a great device, but all it does is records. We can sort of record history, or we can become thermostats and regulate what happens in our nation through a nonviolent movement and message.
I never forget what my mother said.
Notice how they keep making sure they mention nonviolent. While there's you Negroes are sitting up in this room, and this is after you have been informed of a racial massacre against black people. And you got the King children coming straight promptly on camera to start spewing nonviolent talk. See, they couldn't get in front of the Montgomery Riverboat straightening. And so what they don't want is this to be a catalyst for more reckoning. And so you have the old Negro squad and their old Negroes in training, the King children. They're up here to do what they do, and that is pander for the Democrats. You know, we're not finna act like being Dr. King's children doesn't shield you from being a shield. If you get out here doing this shit, you deserve every kind of ridicule and backlash that you got coming, because this is treasonous.
Said to me several years before she passed, she said, baby, the darkest hour is always before the dawn.
Oh. The darkest hour is always before the dawn. They blew my daddy head off for being a loving, kind man. But it's always darkest before the dawn. From what? And what does that even mean? How does that play into anything that happened to those people in Jacksonville? Y'all understand what they're doing? You don't tell me that these people deserve some kind of honor. No, they don't. They have been your Achilles heel. And wondering why can't we get forward? Because you got people like this out here representing black folks, and black folks don't say nothing. You got to shun these peoples. Let the world know they do not speak for the masses of us.
Yes, dark, yes, bad, but there's going to be a dawn. We are all made up of previous generations. And if they can overcome, we can too. So no matter how dark it gets, we are going to see that dawn if we remain vigilant.
Vigilant about what? I'll tell y'all to stay vigilant. A lot of folks tell we are over here, the grassroots tell you to stay vigilant and keep your power tools. That's how you stay vigilant. And then when you are vigilant and you are known to defend yourself and protect yourself, that way you actually promote nonviolence. Because see, the best way of nonviolence is people understanding violence can easily come your way. That's a good way of saying, well, hey, maybe we should get some laws passed for these Negroes. Like they did when your father got his head blown off. That's why them laws was passed, not because you were marching and standing. Now, with that being said, the whole marching stand thing. Oh, well, they marched and they stood. Yeah, they did. But that's coming out of Kamala Harris's mouth, right? Ain't this her though? And this little turnaround family, we watch this.
I'm not always going to only talk about what we can do for Black people. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
So as many of you know, India is a very important part of my life. When my sister Maya and I were growing up, our mother would take us from the Bay Area to India pretty much every other year. And the purpose of those trips were many, including that we would well understand where she came from, what produced her, so that we could spend time with our grandparents, with my uncle and our chittis, and to really understand the love of good idli. You see, by the time that we were going there as children, my grandfather was retired from his career as a civil servant. And his morning routine, every morning, consisted of taking long walks on the beach with his retired buddies. And they, as retired civil servants, would debate the issues of the day. So I would hold my grandfather's hand on these walks and listen intently to him and his friends. And I will tell you, as a young girl, I don't think I fully appreciated the essence and the import of the debates that they would have. But I did clearly understand and do recall stories about the freedom fighters and the nation's founding heroes and about the independence of India. I remember them talking about the importance of fighting corruption and fighting for equality, regardless of one's belief or caste. Throughout these walks, I recall my grandfather teaching me lessons about not just what it means to have a democracy, but to keep a democracy. And I do believe it is these lessons that I learned at a very young age that first inspired my interest in public service. And I look back now, and I do fully realize how much these conversations influenced me and my thinking, and how they have guided me ever since. In fact, it is a large part of who I am today. These lessons I learned from my grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, and from the dedication, determination, and courage of his daughter, my mother, Shamala. And it is that being the reason that I stand before you today as Vice President of the United States.
Well, then that actually has nothing to do with civil rights or the Black struggle whatsoever, does it now? So when she gets in a room full of people talking about India, then all of a sudden her inspiration for liberation comes from India. See, I want y'all to understand and pay attention to people's interchangeable Blackness. And that's what Kamala Harris does while not being Black at all. So there's that. And it's something that people like to push often. They push that lie. The first Black woman in this, and she's not. She's the first Indian woman, maybe first Indian Jamaican descent. That would be true. But as far as being a black woman, no, Obama ain't even the first black president. So we got that. He is a first African-American president. He is not the first black president. He didn't know. How's somebody going to be the first black president when he doesn't identify as black himself? How does that make sense? Now, people get caught up on that. Well, he said he is not black because of the eyes of law. No, that ain't why he said that. It's a convenient excuse, but not so. Not so at all. You got to be sharper and keener than that. And family, if you really truly believe that Barack Obama was legitimately black in the first place, you think they would have let him be president? Y'all don't understand white supremacy at all, do you? Good grief. But nonetheless, let's look at something else. Let's see. Oh, more Kamala Harris. Because they're really playing this one up. This one's freaking hilarious. So let's go back to blackness now. So we just seen the Indian pivot, right? So let's see the black pivot.
Welcome. Here I've got Thurgood, because I always have Thurgood over my right shoulder.
Wow.
And this artist, Eddie Fontenot, is a Howard University. He attended Howard University. So
The artist that did the play.
yes.
Wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
And Thurgood went to Howard.
Of course he
And
did.
you went to Howard.
Indeed I did. And of course Thurgood was one of my, I never met him, but he was one of my inspirations to become a lawyer.
He was one of your inspirations to become a lawyer. Would you like to elaborate on that? Because see, she just got done talking about her inspirations and how they came from Indian culture and India and the freedom fighters of India. Well, where do we get down to Thurgood Marshall now being an inspirational figure for her? Because he went to Howard. Now, going to Howard now, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, she did that. Look at all these immigrants and all of these HBCUs getting a good, lower free education on the government because they're immigrants or whatever status they hold. Oh, something else she said, that freedom fighters fought against a caste system. They got a caste system that they had to address up in Washington just last year. So I don't really understand what they're talking. No, you didn't fight against nothing. You brought it to America. That caste system they got, it's very much still in effect. It's very much still in effect. Don't let them fool you. These people are con artists, family. I hope y'all understanding that. Con artists and liars. Absolute liars. So, for those who are just tuning in, wondering why, why is he in the kitchen? We're going to do this. So we're going to go that route. Like I said, we in the kitchen because we are cooking. And, but I like this better. I like this anyway. How's that, family? Hopefully that's better. I'm not all jittery and jerky either. I like that. So that's a good thing. All right. So with that being said, where are we headed to next? There is something else I have got to play. She just gave me the sister of that. And so I really wanted to address that part of tonight's broadcast. And of course, because again, it's Shill-A-Palloser. So everything has to deal with Shill. And with that being said, here's some more, because they're trying to run out Kamala Harris as if You know, it's pre-game warm-up now. So now they're trying to get her some black cred. But she just ran in front of them Indians and told her all of her inspiration was coming from India. Now let's see what she has to say to black folks.
Yeah. So
By
what
way,
is your message
talking
to
this
those
African.
people? And what would you tell them to get them to the polls?
In 2020, in the height of a pandemic, when there was so much loss of life, loss of normalcy, people lost their jobs, people lost hope, but they saw and felt something to know that they matter and that their voice matters through their vote. We now have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors.
Hold on. 2020? Did you really do
lost
that?
their jobs, people lost hope, but they saw and felt something to know
Those people, and what would you tell them to get them to the polls?
In 2020, in the height of a pandemic, when there was so much loss of life, loss of normalcy, people lost their jobs, people lost hope.
You did not get people to the polls based on hope. You fear-mongered people to the polls. Let's not rewrite just a few years ago. Oh, no. You weren't selling hope. You were selling that Joe Biden is better than Donald Trump. That's it. And Donald Trump getting into office and everything is going to be horrible for black people. And we're going to be back on the plantation. He's going to put us back in chains. No. You were not selling hope in 2020. Not to mention, who was the president in 2020? Joe Biden did not take office until 2021. So what the hell hope are you talking about? The hope that them people was getting when they was having them stimulus checks? Yeah, that came from the previous administration, family. All of that money you got and them programs that were kicked in, them did not come by way of Joe Biden. Your unemployment benefits and all of that and the housing, the rental caps and all of that wasn't a Joe Biden thing. No. You've been waiting on the stimulus since Joe Biden took office. The stimulus packages stopped. So I don't know what y'all keep talking about. It's so much better. No, it ain't. It is not better. It is far from better. Inflation is through the roof. You have migrant crises because this dude ran on open borders because he was looking to benign neglect black issues. This ain't our problem. We did not create it. You created this problem because you were busy ignoring your black voters' needs, your black voters' demands. The black community is telling you what we want and what we absolutely need for securing our vote. Because let me just tell you, things like this ain't gonna cut it.
With real authority at that department. Look underneath just what we're doing in addition to the people we've already named. You're going to see people. Look, and you know, Cecilia Rouse, Cece, she is a significant player. That's a serious position. But it's like when I named her, well, I don't know if that counts. I'm not so sure. Well, if it doesn't count for y'all, well, the hell with y'all. But because it's real. It's real.
And don't tell me about these so-called black leaders. There are your black leaders letting that man tell him, if I gave you some symbolism, and if that ain't good enough, then to hell with y'all. Them ain't your leaders, and they don't speak for us. They do not represent our interests, nor do they represent where we are trying to go as a people in the future. They are only concerned with bootlicking. So we will leave them to their bootlicking destinies. Meanwhile, let's finish up this woman's tragic lying. Like I said, 2020 was Donald Trump's presidency, not Joe Biden. They fear-mongered people to the polls. They pandered to black male voters by saying, here, look at these strippers. By the way, one of them is a transsexual.
But they saw and felt something to know that they matter and that their voice matters through their vote. We now have capped the cost of insulin.
Their voice matters through their vote. In 2020, the people that got inspiration were inspired by voting? No, let's see. I can't seem to remember what was going on in the height of the pandemic in 2020. Oh, that's right. Over 90 days of straight protests going on in the city of Portland, Oregon. Not Minnesota or Kenosha, but right here in Portland, Oregon, where the Black population is the least. But nonetheless, a consistent marker for the world of where resistance can get you. Now, there were paid opportunists and paid provocateurs and paid agencies, because like I've always told you, the Black Lives Matter people did not make it to Portland until these protests were well underway. Days in. But the media started interjecting them. I keep telling everybody, we don't have a Black Lives Matter here. You have people that come out and chant it. We have hands up, don't shoot, to which all other city and government county organizations look to never, ever support. Go out of the way not to. I've been in certain meetings where they're talking about funding so-called groups to end so-called racism. And family, let me tell you something. I mean, I know firsthand on the move with even the AAIP of jacking our agenda. Just in the nonprofit, working in the nonprofit, dealing with the nonprofit sector. I was able to see, okay, so everybody, it's people of color time, and then those same people of color pivoted on the Black community to turn around and start villainizing. I've seen it with my own two eyes. And so using Black folks to propel yourself to a position and then turn on the Black community by saying they're victimizing you. I've literally watched that. And it's rather disgusting. But see, these are the things that have been funded, and perpetuated by the Democratic Party and its flunkies. Again, like I say, funded. It's not for free. These people aren't jumping out there just because they want to. No. They're jumping out there because they're paid to. Their associations that they have, careers that they got going. These things are tied to coming out to combat the truth. So that's what we are up against, ladies and gentlemen, people like this. And let's just hear some more of her lies, because now she's talking about insulin and medicine. What does this have to do? Because you're talking to a Black woman about Black. Clearly, this is about Black, but you're not making it about Black folks. They're trying to say young folks. But again, Black folks are the influencers. So here it is.
At $35 a month for seniors. We are now in the process of removing every lead pipe in America. We are now in the process of getting every person in America access to high-speed internet. We have created 13 million more jobs, and we, by my estimate, are dropping about $1 trillion to deal with the climate crisis, around adaptation, resilience, and what we need to do around building a clean energy economy. The work we have done, the billions of dollars we are investing in our HBCUs, which are...
Here's another thing about that line. HBCUs actually, and this is where the HBCUs really need to be ashamed of themselves. Y'all have rode the Democratic line so much that you took a pay cut to support their lie. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. Joe Biden cut the HBCU funding, then reworked it and rebranded it, and it had all the Democratic shills acting like he did something new. He cut over 60 billion or 60 million. Or is it 60 billion? Because what they get, 6 billion now, and they were getting 63. How do you celebrate now $6 billion between all of these HBCUs when they actually were looking at getting 63? And then come in here, rework it, repackage it, and sell it to us silly Negroes. Oh, man, they don't see what they did for HBCUs. Yeah, they made off like bandits. And you know what the rest of them just $6 billion, $63 billion. How much money has went to Ukraine?
Are, I think most know, centers of academic excellence, but have for too long been underfunded. Our administration is doing that. So because people voted in 2020, these things are happening. The vote matters.
Man, do you realize that people still say you didn't win? You have one of the most contested, she won by Georgia. They won by Georgia. You won by Georgia. That's a state to where the person whom you said won you Georgia cannot win herself. Not to mention, she was the biggest election denier, way more than anybody else out here. I mean, she was going full tilt election denial. Was she not? So, nonetheless, we will continue on. Let's see where I want to go. Oh, yeah. So as we delve into the world of shilling, political shilling, there'll be a lot of people that say, well, they did a lot of things for the community. No, they didn't. And immigration does not see, they like to talk that POC talk and then act like Black people's agendas are in line with illegal invaders. And that is simply not true. These people that are asylum seekers, no, they're invaders. They're illegal. And a lot of people now on the mainstream media are trying to tell you that these people coming over here illegally are legally entering into the country. No, they are not. They are illegally entering in the country. That's why they're getting seized and dropped off in New York. You didn't have somebody that had an address in Texas. They didn't enter this country legally. And now you have instability in all of these major cities, overtaxing the citizens to take care of non-U.S. citizens who we already have witnessed in the Biden administration just how fast he can deport the illegal immigrants he decides should not be here. Number one, Haitian immigrants. But I mean, hell, you can't get an Haitian immigrant to sit up here and say Joe Biden ain't cool to save his life. So again, there's that. But nonetheless, here's what's going on in New York. And with that being said, check this out. I posted this and a lot of shills went crazy. One of the reasons why they went crazy is because they don't like when we are calling it the truth. Those illegals are sitting up here selling food and cutting food in a New York subway, open fruit in one of the most notoriously unsanitary public spaces in the United States. Nonetheless, with the black street vendors who have known to always be out there, especially like the 80s and 90s, you had incense, oil, all type of products by black folks. They ran them out. Remember how they used to go after the bootleggers? Ran them off the block. But now illegals can come set up shop with no permit whatsoever, talking about they trying to make ends meet. Make them meet back to where you need to be. Because right now, your presence is taxing and harming the citizens. That should not be a burden for the citizens. That is a major fail of the Democratic Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration regime. And it's overtly off. Overtly off. This is absolutely crap. You know what, though? Let me show y'all something before I move on to Miss Septum Ring. I want to take a little quick look. Share this with y'all. So this, continuing the dream, this is what we're calling. All right, we're going to continue the dream.
Rekindle the flame of unity and social progress that has been burning since that transformative day 6 decades ago. The legacy of courage, determination, and the unwavering pursuit of civil rights that defines this march continues to guide us as we navigate the challenges and aspirations of the present day. Please welcome to the stage Suhag Shukla and Kiran.
I just want to pause it right there. Anyway, I'm glad I kind of did that. Did y'all catch them names? The first people speaking at this are not foundational Black Americans. So the first voice that you're going to hear while concerning our historical movement is a voice from a person who had nothing to do with it.
Ron Coward Gill, Executive Director of the Hindu American Foundation and the Executive Director of the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Wow. And let's just address that part. So everything they talking about with this woman, we're going to go down to the 240. I'm tired of that. Okay, you're going to put this woman up here to speak at our event. The very first, but as you're announcing her, you're literally explaining her grift. That's what's so crazy. Like, you are literally explaining her grift. Hopefully this is working out. All right.
Namaste. In the Hindu tradition, namaste isn't a mere greeting. It's an ancient call to action to recognize our shared humanity and an inherent divinity that unites us. But somehow we perpetually fall short in remembering this unifying truth. We build factions on differences rather than alliances on commonalities. Where we come from, what we believe, or who we love become not bridges of understanding and acceptance, but walls that demonize and exclude. The darkness of injustice prevails. And just when it feels like that darkness has put out all light, the universe sends a messenger. Great messengers like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Elie Wiesel, and countless others.
No, here's another problem I have while always having Black functions. And I'm going to let y'all know, for anybody, especially in the Portland metropolitan area, if you are running or looking to run, you already know my get down. So if you want me to be affiliated or to assist, has to be a Black agenda. And this right here, I'm not down with none of that. We doing something for Black folks. We're doing it for Black folks. So people often would wonder why I don't get involved with this. And again, I'll tell you, like I told my good sister Teresa Rayford years ago, I'm all down to help anything that you need. But I ain't with this POC minority coalition business. This is years ago. Years ago. This is before Maria Garcia flipped on the Black folk. Because see, you let people like this in, and as soon as Maria Garcia found out the Black folks was going to get something the Latinos couldn't get, she went straight over to the racist white steel unions and got their assistance to block our situation here in the state. And not to mention got herself $200,000 out the deal. That's why I'm not with that type of movement. I can see this person's agenda. And unfortunately, people had to learn the hard way about Maria Garcia. But trust, old Beatzilla saw it day one. She ain't cool. But see, I get it. People be liking folks and whatnot. Yeah, I know. But you don't see what I see. Trust me, I'll be right. And people like this, you come in, they coming in knowing what the job is. They're coming with their orders and their marching orders for real. I mean, listen, give a little bit of fluff to the history of civil rights and the Black leaders there, but make sure you mention all of ours too. And then go into, by using the Black struggle and agenda, let's piggyback and intertwine our agendas. Remember what Jonathan Greenblatt was talking about. Oh, we have shared heritages. No, the hell we do not. So just, ooh, look at that. Ooh, scandalous. Come on. Come on, YouTube. That's why I don't even like playing it. I like just to download these videos because YouTube will do this to me non-freaking stop. Now, as soon as I like take it off the screen, then it'll immediately start playing. And I got this thing set super low. So the fact that I'm even going through all of this, really, YouTube? You got to be kidding me. Family. All righty. I guess they don't want me to show this.
Who inspired people around the world of all shades, beliefs, and walks of life, including my own grandfather in pre-independence India, to march together for the cause of freedom and justice. Different leaders, different places, different times, but the message has been the same.
No, it hasn't.
Transcend difference, find common purpose, and stand up for justice. As our nation faces a crisis of division and hate, we don't have to wait for another great messenger. Each of us has the innate power to become messengers of empathy, equality, and justice. Each of us can take actions big and small to make real Dr. King's dream of a nation where we judge one another, not by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. We're here today to continue Dr. King's dream. He took the first step, others followed, and now it's our time. So as Hinduism's first ambassador to America, Swami Vivekananda so poignantly urged, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
You need to speak on Vivek Ramaswamy. And here's another one. Don't even see black faces starting
Good morning,
this.
everyone. My name is Gideon Kaur-Gill, and I'm the Executive Director of the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund, SALDEF. I'm honored to be here today to support the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington.
Notice how
as
all
we
of them have
rededicate
funds.
ourselves to the fight for civil rights and social justice. The first March on Washington in 1963 made great strides in advancing civil rights and preventing discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. The Sikh
Civil rights was about anti-blackness in America because there was no other groups out here. So civil rights was not about all the things that this woman just said. No, that's not true at all. Oh, matter of fact, Dr. King spoke about Europe's white peasants coming over here. And now they have people like this. They'll put these type of folks in front of you. Hey, man, you know, you got to hear that now. You know, just listen to what you got to say because everybody got to have a voice out here now. I mean, now, what about these people? They done been oppressed too. And they done went through, see, because unlike, there's been some of our folks in the past that have mistakenly identified with Hindus. It's like, they ain't black. They will never see you as the same because they're not. A whole different lineage over there. They are not you. That's one thing that black folks in America have the hardest time dealing with or accepting. Black skin don't mean kin. Can't stress that one enough. Black skin does not mean kin.
American community and so many other minority communities have benefited from these advances, and we are grateful to the pioneers of this movement. The
We don't
Sikh
see
American
it.
community, being a visible religious minority, has felt the sting of discrimination, racial profiling, and white supremacy. With a surge in hate crimes post 9/11, starting with the murder of Balbir Singh Sodhi.
Already, do y'all understand what's happening? This is a commemoration of our movement, and we have only been spoken about as in passing. For all of you immigrants that like to get up here and do these speeches and fancy things, it ain't just the people who were marching. It was black people all over the United States. They don't talk about that. Talk about Boston and James Brown having to calm folks down from rioting. When Martin Luther King got killed, there was riots. Things was burning. They don't like talking about that part. But yeah, things was going up in smoke. For real, for real. People was getting a rearrangement. They're straightening, shall we say. All of these things were taking place. It wasn't just about they marched and they stood. Yeah, and it's toasting it up. That's what got their attention. Don't kid yourself. Yeah, and after he got assassinated, yeah. Because it was turn up time. Shout out to all of them. Power to the people. Let's hear some more of this foolishness before we go on. But I just wanted to show y'all this. Not to mention, do you see a lot of people out
The
there?
attacks on our houses of worship by white supremacists, such as the mass shooting in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, we understand why this fight is so important. We also know there is so much work to be done. We are at a moment in our history where we continue to see an erosion of democratic values. Voting rights are under attack across the nation.
They are not.
And we see an increasing number of hate crimes and gun violence throughout the country.
Oh.
On January 6th, we witnessed a violent insurrection designed to stop the peaceful transfer of power, the first in our nation's history.
Who did it?
It is in this moment when things seem the most difficult that we must fight even harder, raise our voices even louder, and stand with one another in solidarity.
Then I guess we'll be seeing you guys this weekend while these victims are getting buried. We're going to see all of your donations going to those families, huh? Like you're part of a fund. The previous woman is part of a fund. Then y'all going to shoot some chips to these families of these victims, right? Standing together in solidarity and all. See, for me, this level of disrespect pisses me off. And I hope it does you too. Because this right here is saying, hey, come on up here and get yours off on these black folks. And now, mind you, some of these people right now are starting early to put a foot in their mouth. If you're going to say you stand in solidarity, well, then let's make sure that these people, look at the names for those of you who are like that, and let me go research that. Research if these two women's funds have actually posted anything or tweeted anything about Jacksonville. Because we see they were there on Saturday in Washington, D.C., when everybody got the news, when the alerts was going crazy on their phones, all of them were there. Let's see if they got something to say about that and that solidarity, standing with you, and the rise of hate and violence. All right.
Sura so pehchaniye jo lade din ke het. He alone is a spiritual warrior who fights for the needs of the downtrodden. Foundational principles of Sikhism are equality, oneness, and human rights and human dignity for all. And we are honored to march alongside of you as we advance these principles together. We are here today demanding that America live up to its promise, that everyone in this country is created equal and has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And although we are not there yet, as the great Dr. King so eloquently conveyed, together we can make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Please welcome Kika Matos.
Kika Matos, National Immigration Law Center. Let me just play that music real quick.
I stand proudly before you on this momentous day, an Afro-Boricua, a Black Latina, a seasoned justice warrior, and a humble servant to the cause of liberation. The work of the National Immigration Law Center is to fight for the rights of low-income immigrants. This is inseparably linked to our collective fight for racial justice, for economic justice, and for civil rights.
Whoa! Whoa. No, it is not, ma'am. No. That was slick. Woo, did y'all catch that? That was real slick, but ma'am, Hashtag, what do we say around here? Hands off our reparations.
You have no rights here. We're not under the empire.
The civil rights struggles that over the last century have brought us here today. All of our struggles are woven together.
No, they're not.
Creating a fabric so beautiful that all in America can share its warmth. It is in that spirit and with the strength of all of those
No. And here's the problem. You're a damn outsider. You don't come to us and tell us what other people get to. You don't get to share our history, our culture, our trials and tribulations. You don't get to share. Don't y'all? Don't you sit up here and let these folks insult you this time around, family. Don't y'all sit up here and let these people keep insulting y'all like this. Man, well, you know, I already showed you what the other woman had to say. Talking about, well, you know, we created this movement together. Jewish participation in the civil rights is no different than Latino participation in hip hop. You were participants, not creators. Big difference.
To march before us, that I come to you with a simple proposition, that our fights and indeed our fates are intertwined.
Oh, no, they're not. No, they are not. See, I can't. That's what I was telling y'all, family. They are going for this melting pot approach to try to get people corralled back into this minority coalition thinking. Did I not tell y'all that they were going to be heavy pushing this? And right now you have 3 minority coalition folks telling you how our struggles are intertwined. No, they are not.
It's me, Lucha. Your struggle is my struggle. Recently, I visited migrants living in sprawling camps along the levels of misery and despair that I saw shook me to my core.
Did you also go by the homeless camps of U.S. citizens? Does that give you the same feeling? Because they belong here. Have you went to gentrified neighborhoods and talked to the people who have been moved out of their neighborhoods by democratic local governments? Because gentrification was majorly a democratic push. That goes widely unmentioned. Because then people, oh, well, that's local government. No. It's a structured thing. That's why it works the way it does. And how you say, and just to say, well, that's local government. That's cover. That's smokescreen. So it's built in. That's alluding to a bigger agenda. But yeah.
Not just that, but Texas troopers are being ordered to push children into the river and to deny migrants water. Buoys and razor wires have been built to injure, to maim, and to...
No. When people put razor wire around something, that means keep out. When you intrude and when you trespass is now when the maiming will continue. If you don't illegally come into this country, there is no chance to being maimed. So she's literally speaking about illegal invasion. Because that's the only way that's going to happen.
I'm ashamed that our government continues to show hostility towards migrants fleeing deadly danger. I'm appalled that every single congressional fight on immigrant rights is tinged with racism and xenophobia. And I am disgusted that there is an entire faction of the political establishment that is pushing a dangerous and divisive strategy of scapegoating immigrants. It threatens our...
You are illegally invading a country by the thousands every week. That is not xenophobic. That is okay. What do we have? We've been talking about depopulation. You are literally looking at overpopulation by way of democratic policy. Just 2 years ago, they were making people get that jizzness and stuff like that. But now all of a sudden, these people can come over here just willy-nilly, no problem, no background checks, no nothing. While you have a whole fentanyl crisis on your hands. Kind of interesting. They got you shot up and tagged. They got you doped up and high. And now they're bringing in a bunch of workers because now they're saying y'all don't want to work after they went to work. And here's the kicker. All these videos you see, it ain't a bunch of black folks out there just looking like zombies. That's they people. Ain't that the truth? And then here's this woman, though. See, she's trying to play her position. All the things that the devil meant for bad for the Most High's children came back to bite them in the ass. Oh, come on. I'm not playing 6 hours worth of this madness, so let's go. Aren't these things supposed to queue up or something like that? YouTube? I mean, as it's the screen sitting here, doesn't it load? I thought,
Our democracy, and it's leaving our brothers and sisters dead, killed by those who take this rhetoric seriously, which is why we must join together in this fight for our humanity and our freedom. Let us show Congress, state governments, and the Supreme Court that we will not back down from injustices. We shall and we will not. We shall not and we will not be defeated. Tu lucha es mi lucha. That is our cause. Pa'lante.
Not our cause. Not our cause whatsoever.
Please welcome President of the National Fair Housing Alliance, Ms. Lisa Rice.
All right. So we have Miss Lisa Rice coming to the stage. While they're playing in the backdrop, Mercy, Mercy Me. Got to go ahead and see again, foundational Black American music, Marvin Gaye. Let's hijack the spirit.
Lisa Rice, I'm president of the National Fair Housing Alliance, where we work every day to stop housing discrimination and create equality. 60 years after the March on Washington and 55 years after passage of the Fair Housing Act, we are not the society that we aspire to be. Racial homeownership gaps are wider today than they were 60 years ago. Today, we have technologies like credit scoring and tenant screening systems that perpetuate discrimination. That is why technology is the new civil and human rights frontier, and we are doing all we can to stop algorithmic bias. We have made progress, but unfair.
Where's your family from?
Structures like the biased appraisal system and segregation persist. In fact, our neighborhoods are more segregated today than they were 100 years ago. That is why where you live matters. Residential segregation means that your zip code impacts your children.
Now, here's where you're really being hustled and conned, ladies and gentlemen, because like I just mentioned previously before, where you live matters, right? Well, why did the Democrats uproot Black neighborhoods by the thousands? They did here in this city. And this is a very low population of Black. But nonetheless, gentrification still came here too. Seattle, Tacoma, Oakland, all around the Bay. All of these changes, urban renewal projects, all of these things have literally came from the Democrats. So I don't see how now we're going to go vote for the Democrats to blame the Republicans for a problem that the Democrats actually created. Doesn't really make much sense, ma'am.
Children's ability to get a quality education and your ability to earn a living wage, secure wealth for your family, or have access to the internet. We are proud to participate in this historic march and continue the civil rights movement's fight for freedom. Advancing fair housing is central to our collective agenda. In fact, the Fair Housing Act was passed just 7 days after Dr. King's assassination and is a part of his great legacy.
Also a part of the foundational Black American legacy that was turning up and putting foot to ass. It wasn't about him, oh, he got shot, and right after that, they didn't do it because they were sentimental. Y'all hear how they trying to rework history? And who does it benefit? Politicians. Lyndon Baines Johnson was no friend of Black people. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was not a friend of Black people. Jackie Onassis Kennedy said, in a recorded, hearing her voice, saying that awful man, talking about Dr. King, a man about nonviolence. All he wanted was equality and equity and reparations. They always leave out reparations because Dr. Martin Luther King was killed because he was coming for his reparations. So if we're going to keep the dream alive, then we can't leave out reparations. You understand what I'm saying? That's what they keep trying to do.
By working
We ain't heard
together
nothing about that.
to eliminate bias, we continue building.
You're hearing the together part because you're talking about equity. You understand what that means? That means hashtag
You have no
hands off
rights
our
here.
reparations.
We're not under the empire.
Building the beloved community and moving closer to creating healthy, vibrant, well-resourced neighborhoods where everyone can thrive. Thank you.
Oh. Uh-oh. Bishop Swan, I will give you, and I'm gonna play this now because I'm gonna give Bishop Swan the benefit of the doubt. You know, I know some people felt some kind of way, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because y'all, those of y'all who know me understand. I'm not a big fan of people who are tied to fraternities or sororities. I am definitely not a fan because you all have to answer to something else first, and you do not answer to the Most High over the deity of your organization. That's a fact. So with that being said, that means you've already sold out to a certain degree. But nonetheless, I understand what's in the heart. And so we got to give credence and credit to wherever that is. Like I said, though, my issue, and I've always been clear about that, in my family, even in my whole family, like my grandfather who died in 1983, one of his big things is not joining a secret society. Like that was drilled into me as a child, not even knowing what all of that meant. And as I got older and got approached, I understood all about what that meant. So when you're talking to a person like me, you're not talking to the ignorant. I'm not talking about outsider, what I hear talk on the internet and all of this. No, that's not from the place to which I speak. I mean, just if you're from California and around that, my last name is Whitmore. And I myself am not among that number that is on those books. But there's a lot of family members that they are. And so y'all already know. So when I say I know what I'm talking about, don't try me. Y'all want to be cool with that? Y'all do that. But be clear, that ain't for me. Oh, music. Father, Father, oh Lord, there's too many of us die. Brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bishop Charlie Haynes Jr., presiding prelate with the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church.
CME.
I stand to say thank you to the Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, Chairman W. Franklin Richardson, and other organizers who helped us see the need for today. Today, we gather here to reflect upon a monumental event in our history, the March on Washington. But let us remember that this gathering is a commemoration of the past and a celebration of its continuation. The March on Washington was not merely a singular moment, but a catalyst for change, reverberating throughout our generations.
What change
CME
exactly?
Bishop Henry Bunton, Ori Broomfield, and CME Pastor Dr. Jesse Lewis Douglas was at that march. I
Who
stand
cares?
on the behalf of the bishops of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, Senior Bishop Lawrence Reddick.
All right.
As we stand here today, we recognize that the fight for equality, justice, and civil rights are far from over. The ideals and the principles that guided those who marched all those years ago still ring true today. We must carry the torch they lit and continue their mission to create a truly inclusive and equitable society.
What the hell is a pastor talking about inclusive? You serve a jealous God, sir. Is that not the introduction to the 10 Commandments? So listen to this blasphemous pastor. Well, he said he's a bishop, so he's actually, so there's other people under this dude. And you just lied on the Bible. So y'all be up there, man, the Bible, this, the Bible, that. This nigga don't talk from no Bible. Really wish y'all would stop that. Y'all Bible condemners. Condemn these Negroes that never ever taught you the Bible to begin with. They don't teach the Bible in church. You kidding? If they really truly taught that Bible in church, churches would be empty. But I guess also the simple truth of the church is empty now because they weren't teaching the Bible, because people want the truth. And you're living the truth. It ain't hard to see. Stop taking, well, I don't believe in this. Well, stop fantasticalizing it. Look at it practically. There's A and there's B. Where do you fit? You can see yourself as this. You can see yourself as that. Where are you? Aren't you a prominent figure in this world, whether you are the most imitated or the most hated? That means there's a whole lot of attention on you. Why? But you got these old Negroes over here to make sure that you stay asleep. And what better way to be gatekeepers to the truth, holding the book in their hand while lying to you?
The March on Washington was a powerful statement against racial injustice and equality. It brought together people from all walks of life, united by the belief that we are all equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. It demonstrated the power of the collective action and the strength of unity. But let us not forget that the struggle for equality extends beyond race. It encompasses gender, socioeconomic status, disability, and so much more. The March on Washington reminds us that we must address all forms of systemic oppression and discrimination. Today, we still witness injustice.
Woo-wee. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Bishop, you just said a mouthful, sir. You just said a mouthful. And I totally understand. You are doing the company line. Damn, brother. Since when did this struggle involve a gender conversation? That ain't our fight. See, here's the problem. We get these folks in, they get up here in these mics and they start acting as if we're supposed to be fighting for all of these other groups that don't lift a voice or a finger for us. They're ready to come jump on our stage. Like I said the other night, oh yeah, Jonathan Greenblatt wanted to be part. Why? So he could come rush in and jump on in the mix. Then you have these bootlicking preacher-ass Sambos to come up here and start telling you that it's our responsibility to start fighting for all of these other issues. I hate to say it, but it is a curse and a blessing at the same time that while they're doing this, Jacksonville happens. Also, there's the other incident that's on my Twitter I showed y'all. Or if you follow me on Twitter, which you already should be, there's another dude that got turned away from trying to go into a black church, and then somebody finally called the cops in on him and got him. But he was looking to carry out a racial ambush. Now you have the media trying to hurry up and run out there and say, oh, this wasn't a copycat thing. Oh, this didn't have anything to do with race. He just by chance went to a black church with Army tactical gear and an AR-15, but it has nothing to do with anything else. Yeah, okay. Sure.
That demands our attention and action. We cannot become complacent and think that progress is guaranteed. The continuation of the March on Washington means that we must carry forth the spirit of activism, social change in our daily lives. We must advocate for policies that protect the rights and the dignities of every individual.
Whoa.
We must challenge prejudice.
I want y'all to notice how they keep avoiding talking about what was going on in 2020. Don't tell me about 60 years ago protests. Why aren't you talking about how that plays in? Are you noticing how they're going so far away from George Floyd? Because once again, dead black man, you're here again commemorating dead black man, but George Floyd's so recent, you can't all lives matter George Floyd. So you have to start separating the actual protests of 2020 and pull up summer era since then from 20 years ago or 60 years ago. While doing that, you're acting as if none of these other things have occurred. Yeah. Why are you doing that?
Prejudice and discrimination wherever we encounter them. We must amplify the voices of the marginalized communities and actively work towards dismantling the barriers that hold us back.
We are the most marginalized community, brother. So why do we need to fight for any community that is less marginalized than us? Why is that our responsibility while being on the bottom? This is absolutely disgusting and shameful. And you're going to try to tell me that this is something for black folks? No, this is an agenda here. And remember, the Negro Project, and see, that's where we're going to wrap this thing up. That Margaret Sanger woman, because half this stuff y'all talking about is a Margaret Sanger eugenics agenda funded by the doggone Democrats, perpetuated through these old Uncle Tom and these future Uncle Tom Sambo punk ass preachers. PAP, PAPS. Hashtag PAPS. PAP. Punk ass preachers. Y'all feel free to use that one. Let people know where you got it.
Therefore, the march is necessary. Until we get there, my grandson will be seen as a weapon and not as a child of God. The march is necessary. Until we walk down these streets of America, where our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears built for us one day to be free. The march is necessary. Until we are shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, walking together towards a brighter future.
You want to be hand in hand with your oppressor? I don't. I have no desire to do that. That makes no sense. That actually sounds like insanity. That sounds like insanity. Oh, I want to be, what woman says I want to be walking down the street holding hands with my assaulter? Oh, he argued me before, but it's cool. Now we're hand in hand. Right? That makes sense, huh? Because women would clearly be going for that. Because listen, all this trauma inflicted on somebody, and you're literally telling yourself, we in the future should be walking hand in hand in unity. What? These Negroes are the worst.
Fanning towards the flame of justice. The march is necessary until Martin's dream becomes our children's reality. Until that day, no justice, no peace. We must march on. God bless you.
Disgraceful.
Good morning. I'm Bishop Talbert Swan II, representing the Church of God in Christ, and on behalf of our presiding bishop, Bishop J. Drew Sheard, and our constituents across America and the world, we came here to tell America that here we are, 60 years later, and we're not going anywhere, and that you cannot erase us. Today, we stand in the shadow of a vacillating president who has been deemed the great emancipator, but he receives far too much credit, while American historians have diminished the roles of Black leaders and abolitionists and activists who are determined to transform this nation. We live in strange times where our non-melanated brothers and sisters want to convince us that slavery was nothing more than a vocational training program that gave our ancestors marketable skills, that 40 years of affirmative action was sufficient to wipe away 400 years of discrimination, and that 48 years of voting rights was enough to level the playing field. America wants to erase its original sin and pretend the enslavement, the rape, the murder, the brutalization, the dehumanization, segregation, emaciation, and mass incarceration of Black people are merely figments of our imagination. They don't want the truth to make little Billy.
Why is everybody out there so quiet? Why did they get so silent? Everybody, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. The boy, they real silent on Bishop Talbot Swan right now, ain't they? You would think he out there talking to nobody. Is there an audience out there? Is there a crowd? Where did they go? They was out there, yeah, oh yeah, we got unity. Oh, Black? Breaks. Oh no, this civil rights thing isn't about Black people. Oh man, why do you have to bring up race? Man, this is civil rights. We're celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King, man. Why does he have to bring up race? Man, that was so uncool of him, dude. Like, man, we're all here together talking about pushing forward in unity, dude. Why are you talking about slavery, man, and the justices that were never brought to Black people, man? You're making it all about race, and this is about unity and the people of color. We need to worry about having a stronger coalition and getting together, and then we'll fight for justice, unity, and equality and inclusion. dipshit.
And Karen feel bad about what grandma and grandpa did. But the more you try to erase America's history of racism, the more it manifests itself. It manifests itself on riverboat docks in Montgomery, on streets in New York and Baltimore, when non-melanated Americans justify the cops shooting Jalen Walker 90 times, but then defend an ex-president with 90 criminal indictments.
Whoops.
We are here to say that you cannot erase us. You tried it with slavery. You tried it with Jim Crow, with Tuskegee experiments, with crack cocaine epidemics, with extrajudicial murders, and you keep trying, but the more you keep trying, the more God keeps raising us up, lifting us, and giving us resilience and the strength to endure. You can't erase us, Ron DeSantis. You can't erase us, Sarah Huckabee.
I didn't touch the sound. Family, I did not touch the sound. Did they cut the sound? You can't make this up. You can't make this up. I did not touch the sound, family. So you know what? His speech is on his page. So if y'all go to Bishop Talbot Swan's page, I believe you should hear his speech in his entirety. But what the hell just happened here? Like literally the sound just went out. I don't know what. Like y'all just see I came back on the screen. This thing was playing. What the hell? Wow. Oh yeah, so this you didn't want this message to go over the airwaves, huh? When you start talking about black folks and black, you will not erase us, and called out Ron DeSantis, called out Sarah Huckabee. Y'all see that? So as soon as he finished, so they purposely cut him off. You can't tell me shit about no Democrats, man. No, family. No, family. Once the brother actually got up there and started talking truth to power, his mic got cut. And subsequently, after he gives his sign off, then the music starts playing and the sound is back on. That's deliberate. That's enough of that. I wanted to just get to Bishop Swan speaking and look at how they did him. As soon as he started speaking that real and started speaking that truth, which literally, I'm going to tell you why they cut it, because what he was talking about, it screams for results. And this is about benign neglect policy against black folks. So much so that they shut his mic off when he talked about Ron DeSantis and Sarah Huckabee. Now let's go back to Hakeem Jeffries and the Congressional Black Caucus and all of the mainstream media. They're not blaming Ron DeSantis for these 3 murders in Jacksonville. They're not blaming Vivek for his rhetoric, although they're trying to look at him and make him some thing. So when Talbot Swan literally starts talking about these Republicans, he's calling them out by name, talking about how they will not erase our history. They cut his mic. Ooh-wee, ladies and gentlemen, if anything you needed to know, it's right there. So with that being said, let's get to the very last story I need to hit. which of course I know y'all was waiting for this one. Oh, Lord. You see this girl's eyes, family? Do you see this woman's eyes? Yeah, somebody gonna tell me, oh, well, you know, she's sane. You think so? Well, we're going to hear what she has to say here in a second. But with that being said, let's take a quick pause just to remind you that you are watching the BeatZillapdx official show. And so right now is an opportunity to make sure you hit that like button, family. Hit that like button. Smash that thumbs up button. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do so now by hitting the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit the word all. That way you'll be notified anytime this channel goes live or a video is uploaded. And you are tuned in to the weekly wrap.
Tick faster, that'll be the hour they knock the slick blaster. Dick dastardly, a Muttley with sick laughter. A gunfight and they come to cut the mix master. And living the true gods, giving y'all nothing but the lick like two broads. Got more lyrics than the church got ooh lords. And they hold the mic at your attention like two swords. Or either one with two blades on it. Hey you, don't touch the mic like it's AIDS on it.
Alright.
Have you ever wondered why so many pro-black black men are anti-feminism and homophobic? Unfortunately, it may be because of this black woman, Frances Cress Welsing. She wrote the ISIS Papers as an attempt to try to find what the root of white supremacy is, why it exists. And in her understanding, she determined that the cause of supremacy is to prevent the annihilation of the race. Now you may be wondering, what does this have to do with anti-feminism and homophobia? Well, she thought that black men were the main target of white supremacy because black men have the ability to annihilate the race through procreation. From that conclusion, she drew another conclusion that feminism is a supremacist ploy to get black women to economically advance so far that they no longer needed black men, and that the black family unit would be destroyed, and then there would be no procreation of black people. Which, when you think about it, is really sad because it reduces women to their role as an incubator for the next generation. But black women weren't the only marginalized group within the black community that she had a problem with. She also thought that homosexuality was an agenda to prevent the procreation of black people through emasculating the strong black man. In reality, the construction of cis heteropatriarchal gender roles and therefore cis heteropatriarchal sexuality is a product of white supremacy, making her an agent of white supremacy through her anti-feminist rhetoric and her homophobia. If any of this sounds familiar, there's a reason for it. Pan-Africanist black men don't want liberation for all black people. They want to be on top in a hierarchy of black supremacy that centers black men. Black, cis, heteropatriarchal values are just repackaged white supremacy.
Also her. I beat the black girl who dates white boys stereotype. No, because you are a white girl who would fawn over white boys. So then you became a queer, non-binary, pro-black icon. Well, you're definitely no pro-black icon because no one would ever listen to you other than somebody who is not pro-black. So there's that. You're saying that while wearing a Nirvana shirt. Smells like a septum ring. This chick really hates herself, to be quite honest. And it's overtly obvious. Like I've seen another video on her TikTok where she has an older picture of herself, kind of like, black nerd, talking about black nerds. It's like, if you don't stop. So anyway, let's unpack the going at Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and black male patriarchy. And number one, white supremacy is just that, white supremacy. White supremacy does not share in its philosophy with other people, especially not the target of white supremacy, which is black men. If you're talking about what on earth would ever make a person say that white men fear black women more than they fear black men? So that means that the men are looking at the men as some kind of competition. What's hard to believe there? Now, let's unpack the biology science part of it. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing did not just have an opinion. It is a fact that, and this is how genetics and the biology of genetics work. Dominant gene. We're talking genes, not opinions. And so many of these people feel that they could come out here and disrespect an intelligent, learned, studied scholar. And the dum-dums who follow these idiots is amazing. Well, maybe she's knowing something that Frances Cress Welsing didn't. Like what? Because she didn't tell you anything. All she did was gave her rant and opinion because she disagrees. She couldn't tell you how it was wrong. She said this is what she believes. Right. But no, it's not what she believes. She proved it. And not only did she prove it, but other black scholars have also said the same things over the course of years. And it's been demonstrated. It's been proven. So obviously this female is in delusion. But again, like I said, and started with that septum ring video. Shout out our brother Terrain Walker for shooting that over to the brother. I appreciate that, my brother. Y'all go check him out. Terrain Walker. Y'all probably heard him. Black men who are speaking truth to power and taking our rightful place. We don't let nobody dictate to us what we say and what we don't, what we support and what we won't. We don't hate feminism because of some crackpot theory. We are very well aware. We could deduct by basic logic. I don't have to go read Frances Cress Welsing's book to tell you that the feminism and black feminism are only arms of white supremacy because the only person it looks to protect is the one person that it uses as the so-called catalyst talking point. But notice how black feminism never has any type of what you do about patriarchy. How do you handle white supremacist patriarchy? What should be done about white supremacist patriarchy? Ask a black feminist that. What should be done about white supremacist patriarchy? This gender roles that has been established that us black men just are so enamored by that we got to follow with what the white man is putting forth. Well, then how do you propose you combat the white man's ideal system then? What do you do about it? I see that white women got rights. How did that work out for you? I know when black men, because see, there wasn't a black man, there was no gender divide in that black community. So black people were about to get the right to vote, meaning black men, black women, both were going to get the right to vote when white women still did not have that right. So don't start aligning yourself with white women because they look to undermine you from day one. So all of this idea of patriarchy, if you have fell into the throes of believing in the feminism, you have given in to patriarchy because it was created by them, damn it. That ain't no woman's creation. Listen to the logic of it. How would that ever be a woman for you? Truth be told, you know where it came from. Who has the loudest megaphone in the rainbow community? Who designed your whole eyelash game? Who's now telling you, go get a hysterectomy so I can get your womb? And you're going to tell me about, well, you black men and Francis Cress Welsing following the white male patriarchy structure. Really? Because how does black women giving their uteruses to white men? What is that? What do you call it? Born biologically a male, but he's going to get a uterus from a black woman because the doctor told her that she had something in her wrong with her, so she needs to get a hysterectomy at 28, 30, 32, young, childbearing years. Where that uterus going? Then all of a sudden you talking about uterus transplants. No, but no, the irons, the pistons aren't firing. Because you don't want to be real about the truth. And so Little Miss Septum Ring, a lot of what the ISIS papers is about is referring to eugenics. Eugenics is very real, little girl. So some players that you might not have heard of before, like, I'm sure you're a fan of abortion, so you must know who Margaret Sanger is, right? I mean, we would have to assume that you are well aware of who Margaret Sanger is. Why is this moving so slow? What is going on here? Then it goes all the way to the bottom. This is crazy. What is going on here? Why is this window moving slow? Okay, so the last thing I'm going to play is going to be about a 4-minute clip here, but I need y'all to get a solid education on the truth. And this is the letter from Margaret Sanger to Dr. Gamble of the Procter & Gamble pharma conglomerate that you know today. And what you're facing now is because of what they were already putting in place. So to say that there was an agenda to prevent black procreation, yes. Septum ring girl, yes. And here's your proof for all you weirdos that's trying to back that little nut up.
December 10th, 1939. Dr. C.J. Gamble, 255 Adams Street, Milton, Massachusetts. Dear Dr. Gamble, it's good to know that you are recovering. I also am stepping up and have felt much better the past week. Miss Delp was here for Thanksgiving, and I am more than delighted to learn that she was able to get $250 from the California Birth Control Organization, plus the $600 from the Federation. That's good. She is a go-getter and a live wire, very tactful and charming as well. I think that my pick of her has been justified, even though she is a little higher priced than the ordinary. She has been working on the article to be written by Miriam DeFord, Mrs. Maynard Shipley. They were good enough to send me a rough draft for comments and suggestions, and the important suggestion that I made was not to include Miss Delp's actual name in the article, because of the fact that her sister is married to one of the high spots in the Farm Security Department, and if the enemy started to work on her name, they might make it difficult along the line. Otherwise, I think the article is good. As to my sending suggestions to the Federation, I think it is really unfair for me to do so. I am too far away to have the personal contact of the different reactions, and it only holds up any definite project to have the pros and cons battered about, which makes for more chaos and confusion. There is only one thing that I would like to be in touch with, and that is the Negro Project of the South, which, if the execution of the details remain in Miss Rose's hands, my suggestions will not be confusing because she knows the way my mind works. Miss Rose sent me a copy of your letter of December 5th, and I note that you doubt it worthwhile to employ a full-time Negro physician. It seems to me, from my experience, where I have been in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, that while the colored Negroes have great respect for white doctors, they can get closer to their own members and more or less lay their cards on the table, which means their ignorance, superstitions, and doubts. They do not do this with the white people, and if we can train the Negro doctor at the clinic, he can go among them with enthusiasm and with knowledge, which I believe will have far-reaching results among the colored people. His work, in my opinion, should be entirely with the Negro profession and the nurses, hospital, social workers, as well as the county's white doctors. His success will depend upon his personality and his training by us. The minister's work is also important, and also he should be trained, perhaps by the Federation, as to our ideals and the goal that we hope to reach. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. I agree with you that Miss Rose has done a remarkable job in thinking through and planning the project, but she has worked on it for some time. As soon as I knew there was the possibility of getting any money, I put her at work drafting the plan for Mr. Lackner. She is excellent at just such a job. She hangs on to details, weaves, and correlates them into the design. I shall never cease to have the utmost admiration and regard for her ability, and so far I have not seen anyone in the Federation who could take her place. I am constantly delighted at the thought that you are getting better, and now we must pray for Mrs. Tim, who is seriously ill at the doctor's hospital in New York. My regards to your Sarah and to yourself. Sincerely yours, Margaret Sanger.
So to say, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, we had just had an opinion. No, she was well informed. And that's how most of y'all should be before you speak on an icon and a scholar such as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. in a disrespectful manner. Because yes, now what I just played for you was a letter read. I've played that before, and I've read the letter myself on this broadcast. One of the things that sticks out is the fact that how they're using their marketing ploy, which now has been intertwined into politics. And that's how they control the black voters. They employ these same tactics. They knew they need to get somebody to come amongst their own. That's why you have this woman coming out now to attack the idea of them fighting against genetic annihilation. And you think it's a coincidence of the timing that this is happening? Why now would this little septum ring nut all of a sudden want to go after Dr. Frances Cress Welsing now? You think she picked up the book, The ISIS Papers? No, she has a prepackaged talking point. Where did it come from? Because clearly she didn't do her homework to know this about Margaret Sanger, which there's a whole thing called eugenics. Matter of fact, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing lambasted a dude who had a thing talking about dysgenics. And in that Tony Brown broadcast, they actually mentioned eugenics. So to even act like eugenics didn't happen, like dysgenics didn't happen, and the replacement theory is the replacement theory is very real. And it is a white supremacist staple. You will not replace us. Well, there's one way of replacing a certain group of people, and that's by this group of people out procreating them. Not being in incubators, but here's the thing, little girl, you wouldn't be here if it had not been for an incubator. Now, I guess they found her because she's not as hard on the eyes as that little buck-toothed weirdo that was all on Maury and Catfish, and she'd be out here talking all crazy, because that's all this is. She has another video talking about black nerds. No, you're not a black nerd. You're a coon. And you want to leave from the coon? No. Your allegiance is not with black people. You hate the person you see in the mirror. That's why you have a ring in the middle of your face. And now you're trying to identify, I'm becoming a queer something. You're all over the place. And the look in your eyes says confused demons on you. In other words, you are a member of the 2/3 Club. And everybody else that wants to subscribe to the foolishness that she is talking about, all of y'all are going to do is make yourself look like fools. You are amongst schooled, learned company. It's free smoke all day for the shills. Because Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen. Let it fall. And let us rise. Can you dig it? Again, I want to thank our brother Terrain Walker for shooting me that video about the septum ring. I appreciate that, brother. I'm glad I was able to debut it here. It's on his TikTok, by the way. And, y'all will be seeing that on my, hopefully, Twitter been tripping on me too. So Twitter, I don't know what's up with y'all. But again, this is the response from the Democrats, Joe Biden's White House, about anti-black violence. Guns, guns, guns. And I have people saying, what's wrong with that? That doesn't deal with anti-black violence. Well, 10 magazines or 10 Maryland magazines, ain't that dealing with anti-blackness? No, it is not. Oh, well, I mean, we could deal with more things than once. No, I need to know what guns has to do with anti-blackness. That's the damn question. Well, I mean, you can't do nothing just race specific for black people. Anti-Asian hate crime bill. Man, ain't no anti-Asian crime bill. You can't do that. Now you sound like Roland Martin telling that lie. When it's for everybody. No, it ain't. So let me say something, little septum ring weirdo. Misconfused. You see the woman up there, Gloria Steinem and Gabby Sidibe, auntie up there with their fists raised? That's a whole FBI, CIA agent there to inflict certain ideals onto our community. So don't sit up here and tell no black folks over here being pro-black that somehow we hate feminism is a byproduct of white male patriarchy, because damn it, that blonde-haired woman with her fist raised right there is your author of feminism, and she was sent to you by the man. So septum ring, little weirdo, and all the other ones like you who think you could come over here and disrespect our icons. We're not having that. And for those who want to try, well, I could say for myself, BeatZillaPDX official, those of us here at the BeatZillaPDX official show, grassroots, and also the voices of new black media. I think it's safe to say I speak for all of them when I say we proudly, firmly, fervently dedicate this song to your septum ring and your crazy demon-filled eye.
Get up off of that cocaine and get up off of that crack. Get yourself together and get your mind back.
All right, family. All right. All right. Not sure what's going on here. Why did this just freeze? All right, so my mic is muted too, because again, I didn't know I was back, and StreamYard had my window completely frozen. Thank you, StreamYard. Not even actually live streaming right now either. That's amazing. But good job. So with that being said, family, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at BeatZillaPDX. You can email me at ourrealtruth@gmail.com. And if you feel so inclined to put some money in the bucket by way of donation, you could definitely do so at CashApp. $BeatZillaPDX. That's CashApp, $BeatZillaPDX. Also have PayPal, which is Zilla Music. That is ZILLAMUZAK at PayPal. So with that being said, family, I hope you enjoyed this week's weekly wrap up. Y'all know how we do here. So until next time, family, we had to put it on you. I hope y'all enjoyed this broadcast. Shill-A-Palloser, the festival of future broken tools. And I think we've seen a few. Shout out to Bishop Talbert Swan, who kept it real while being in the midst of a bunch of buck dancing coons. And they cut his mic because he was speaking the truth about getting tangibles for black folks. So that means that all of your so-called black leaders are on the work against black progress and most definitely fighting against reparations. So let's always make sure we keep all three smooth stones at the ready. We use the stone of truth till we knock out Satan's brains. Every one of you know the truth, stand up on the truth, and stay black, stay vigilant, stay alive. Black first, black first, black first. Shalom, y'all. Have a great, blessed weekend.
When you know who Satan is,
Yes, sir.
you don't have to kill him. No. The stone of truth. See, that's what you throw.
Right.
Allah says, had we wished to take a pastime from before, surely we would have done it. Nay, we cast truth at falsehood till we knock out its brains. Every one of you that knows the truth, stand up and tell it from the mountaintop. Black people can't take it no more. So wherever you are on the job, in the factory, I don't care where you are. If you know the truth, stand up on the truth and tell Satan, who the hell are you to try and pick my friends? Farrakhan is God's man, and you are from the enemy of God. So to hell with you. Stand up on it like a man.